Welcome to the Kurt and Kenny podcast. Coming at you from Work in Progress co-working in downtown Las Vegas. We're here to talk about growing your business, making more money, and thriving in a startup life. Here they are, Kurt and Kenny.
Hey, I'm Kurt.
And I'm Kenny.
And we're partners at Neon Brand.
And today we're on episode 1, Intangible ROI. Investing in your community may not produce an immediate financial ROI, but there are lots of reasons why a business might spend time and money on things that don't have an immediately financial payoff. In this episode, we will be discussing the reasons why small businesses should or should not invest resources into activities with an intangible ROI.
Someone's going to need to define for me what intangible ROI is.
Right. Let's say monetary first.
Okay.
Like cash.
Well,
cash,
isn't that
cash
the
money.
only? Isn't that the only ROI?
Well, maybe not. There's other ROIs. Like, well, it depends on what you want out of it. If you're investing, if you want to make more friends, then your ROI is how many friends you increased by. If you want to have more cookies, it's how many cookies did you bake and get out of the project.
Well,
I don't know.
That's great. If we were doing a podcast for nursery school teachers, then that might be something to have a conversation about.
Oh.
We're talking about business here.
Yeah.
Right. So ROI only means one thing.
Okay.
It means for every dollar I expend, do I get some fraction or some multiple of those dollars back? And if I do or I don't, should I continue to invest in those activities?
Right.
So if I'm dealing in intangibles, then to me, the very definition of intangible is something that I can't quantify, something that I can't touch. It's something that is void of purpose. It's too loose. I'm uncomfortable with that.
Okay,
as a
use
guy
the
who
word
likes numbers.
use the word immediate then. It's coupled. They're together. Intangible and immediate ROI. Lacking both of said items.
All right. Well, so I'm a long-term investor, right? I mean, my mindset, we're invested in 2 or 3 different applications that we expect a good long-term return for. So immediate for me isn't always necessary in an investment. It would be great, right? But most investors have years, months, decades before their return that they were hoping for comes back to them.
Yeah.
But in most cases that I know, there's a very tangible commitment to a very tangible set of deliverables.
Yeah.
And I think what we're asking here is, are there things like sponsoring events or holding free meetups or generally being involved in the community and creating collisions or other words that we hear all the time with the new digital community and the new millennial community that are somehow supposed to persuade me that that's going to make me money in the long run?
Perhaps the better word, and I'll explain, would instead of intangible or immediate would be without a clear ROI. Lots of times we do things and we don't necessarily know what we will get out of it, but we think that we should do it anyways because there's a myriad of factors that say this is a good thing and it will help you out in some way eventually. For example, years and years ago, 2012, we were brand new in downtown Las Vegas, and we were trying to find our angle and what we were going to do to provide value to our customers and to the potential customers here in Las Vegas for our SEO services. So as we were doing our regular search on the term Las Vegas SEO and trying to figure out who the next person we were going to try to dethrone, we came upon the Las Vegas SEO meetup group. At that time, I looked at the meetup. It's like, oh, this looks kind of cool, but there was zero going on. There wasn't a meetup held within the last 6 months, and then there was nothing scheduled for the future. So I reached out to the organizer of that meetup. This is early days meetup too. Not too many people were using it way back then, but reached out to the organizer and said, hey, I want to run a meetup. Can I use your group to run that meetup? He said, sure. We set up the event. We held the event. We had 2 whole people show up. After that, he wrote me and said, actually, do you want to take it over? Because he didn't want to pay the fees. So I took over the meetup, and we've been running monthly meetups on that group ever since then. So for 3, almost 4 years now, whatever that math is, 5 years? Jeez. 6 years? Holy smokes, something like that. Anyways, over the years, we've always provided pizza, so it always costs us at least $120 a time, sometimes more if the groups are larger. And we also have all of the time spent from my perspective, for me personally, because most of the time I teach the meetups, and then from other people helping us out getting things set up, like our staff setting up cameras or JC running the front desk and making sure people get in and find the meetup correctly. So all the time spent, all the actual cash money spent on the pizza, and then at the end of every meetup, do we get a client that says that $120+ was worth it? The answer is definitely no. It took us a long time. I mean, we're still doing it, so obviously we think there's value in it. And I think there's a lot to be said on the value and how that actually works. But there's definitely not a clear ROI when investing in things like running a meetup or speaking at meetups, right?
Well, I think you'd have a hard time demonstrating to someone, coming from my perspective, that the spending and the planning and the time that it's take, opportunity cost. I mean, your time's valuable. I mean, you have development capabilities. You're a marketer. You're a creative. There's a lot of things that you do, and so is you trading time to prepare for a couple of hours and then present for an hour and answer questions for another 45 minutes and then pay for pizza and then pay the monthly or the annual dues for the meetup. I mean, is that stuff, has it produced return? Well, I mean, I can think of a couple of clients that have brought some revenue into the business from it. But is it huge? Is it a similar ROI to some other directly related activity, like doing a social media ad or doing an event sponsorship like a hackathon or incubating an idea or something like that? I think it's hard to justify that. Yeah. The intangible component of it is the hardest part for someone who really wants to know whether their efforts are paying off, because you feel good. You know, back when I was in business school, we used to call that corporate social responsibility. It was this big buzzword back then, which I don't know what they call it now, but the idea was that you give bigger than you get.
Yeah.
And, you know, that sort of sounds like karma, and that sort of sounds like law of the harvest, or that sounds like a number of different things that are out there.
Yeah.
But if we come back to it, so let's take your example. I know that in your heart, you feel like your overall commitment to the community, your commitment to DTLV, your commitment to the SEO, your commitment to all of those things, to you, in your heart, you feel like that's helped Neon Brand be a viable strategic marketing agency in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And a top-ranking SEO company. Can you possibly make tangible all of what you've invested in that to get that feeling? That's the hard part for me. That's where it's hard for me to feel like I could absolutely say yes, invest in a lot of intangibles.
Right. One of the actual important things to clarify at this point is the reason we are doing the meetups, the real true reason we're doing the meetups is not to get clients, really, which is weird to say, right? Like, especially for somebody like you who loves seeing the money, is I'm not trying to get clients out of our meetups. We really are 100%. The reason is we are trying to educate the community. Now, the secondary thing that happens naturally because we are doing that with that sincere intent is that people start to trust us, which brings up the whole trust-based marketing thing that I've kind of been kicking on for a week now. People like Doritos and Pepsi don't have to do anything to earn our trust. We trust them already. The only thing they have to do is not break our trust. So we have trust-based marketing even at the highest levels. But with a company that's new, that nobody's heard of, that maybe is small, that is, that people don't reach out to all the time, there is a short window of time when somebody's considering whether or not they're going to hire you, where they do their homework and they look at your website and they look around and they try to decide whether or not they can trust this person, especially in the digital marketing industry where there are 9 out of 10 screwballs that are going to mess up with somebody's stuff. So trust, especially in our industry, but in all industries, is very, very important. So what happens is, considering hiring Kenny, quick Google search, Neon Brand. Oh, what's this? Meetup. Oh, Meetup's broadcasted. Oh, let me watch one. Oh, cool. He's teaching about this very thing. There's a room full of 40 people sitting there in front of him listening to him talk. They must trust him to some degree, and he's been running these meetups for 6 years, and this is how many people still show up to these meetups. Okay, so this is a good thing. And in a very short window, they're able to skip past the first 4 dates and come in on the 5th date already knowing who I am and what I'm about and how I contribute to the overall community. And then we can shortcut that whole process and make a sell a lot easier at the end of the day on a customer who had nothing to do with the actual attending of the meetups, but just came across them while they were considering hiring us for whatever it is they were hiring us for.
Well, so you talk about an interesting principle there, which is an age-old principle, which is people buy from who they trust.
Yeah.
And if we're defining an intangible in marketing as establishing trust and establishing credibility, then I do think that there are dividends on that. I still think they're intangible. I still think it's very hard to calculate those. And I doubt the day is ever going to come where you and I reach a consensus on the value of this.
Right.
But I do think we can take away from it that generally having a position in your life and in your business where doing good yields good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's a principle that's I think that has been proven time after time over the years in business.
Yeah.
My finishing point on this subject is simply this. If you're going to do anything in business, back to your point earlier, I like to count the money. I like to see the money. I do. It's a scorekeeper. It's accountability to whether or not you're running an organization right. But I'm not a greedy guy. I don't like swimming around in money, right?
Oh, I do.
Although I wish I could.
Scrooge McDuck.
But the point is, I think a business has to evaluate every marketing initiative that they do, and they need to calculate the costs and project the returns. And if it's something hard, like putting $5,000 into a marketing budget, and they need $20,000 of return, that's very smart. If it's investing in meetups, knowing that you're going to buy a lot of pizza for a long time and maybe never see a dollar back,
right.
But it establishes a portfolio of work that says this guy can be trusted to do a great job for me,
Yep.
Then I think that becomes very tangible over time.
Mm-hmm.
And you can look at your financial records over a period of years and say, okay, could we have gotten there without? Maybe, maybe not, but we're willing to say, because generally we feel this is a good thing, it has established ROI for us.
So I thought I was clever, and I thought that I invented the term trust-based marketing. I should have known better. I just Googled it. And let me just read this because it's actually perfecto. It says, trust-based marketing is a marketing theory based on building consumer relationships through trustworthy dialogue and unbiased information. Originated by Glenn L. Urban, blah, blah, blah. The theory contends that being honest and open is the best path to building consumer trust and creating a more loyal customer base. This is said to give customers increased consumer power through internet access to product information and competitive pricing. Companies, therefore, can no longer rely on traditional models of push marketing in which a company's positive attributes may mask unsuitable characteristics. Man, that's exactly it. That's everything we try to do. We try to be, in all of our marketing strategies, it's all about building that confidence so that when somebody wants to make a purchase, they know that they are getting it from the best person at the best time in the best place that they possibly can.
Which is a topic for another time.
That's it. It's a wrap. See you next time.
See you later.